If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join the community. You won't want to miss what happens next. What if the person who finally makes you feel seen, truly seen for the first time in your life, is the same one who slowly starts to erase every part of who you are? What if love arrives like a fairy tale, someone choosing you when you spent years convinced no one ever would, only to turn into a cage you can escape, one where every I love you comes with a price tag you never agreed to pay? What if you believed you were plain, boring, invisible? And then the most popular boy in school looked at you like you were everything he'd ever wanted, only for that love to demand more and more until it swallowed your dreams, your family, your future, and almost your life. This is my story. My name is Odette, and for years I believed my face said please look away. I was the quiet only child in a calm, predictable suburban home. We're talking no big family gatherings, no aunts or uncles, no chaos. Just the three of us, moving through life in polite, reasonable silence. I used to wait for a tragic twist, some dramatic backstory to make my existence feel like it mattered. But nothing ever came, until Rafe did. And what started as the love story I'd always dreamed of became the hardest, most painful lesson I'd ever learn. Sometimes the most dangerous kind of love isn't the one that ignores you, it's the one that makes you disappear completely, piece by piece, until you barely recognize yourself in the mirror. They say you can tell a lot from someone's face. Mine, I was convinced, always said, please look away. I'm an only child with only child parents, so my life was defined by quiet. No extended family chaos, just the three of us in a house where everything was calm, reasonable, and politely suburban. My life felt boring. Even my face, I was sure, looked boring. Plain features, nothing to make anyone stop and stare. Nothing to make me feel like I belonged in the spotlight. One evening at dinner, my mum set her fork down with that serious look she got when she wanted to have a talk. Odette, it's time you found some purpose in life. I rolled my eyes, pushing my mashed potatoes around my plate. I'm just waiting for the tragic twist in my life arc. You guys never gave me a dramatic backstory to work with. My dad chuckled softly, trying to lighten the mood. Okay, maybe start smaller. How about a job? Yeah, Sharon, I teased Mum, using her first name. Lead with that next time. Don't make it sound philosophically. Just want another income stream. Mum sighed and exchanged a glance with Dad. Whatever, go to your room. As I left the table, I heard Dad murmur quietly, where did we go wrong with our one and only? A few days later, I decided to try babysitting. Worst decision of my life. I got an email from a woman who sounded desperate. Disabled daughter, needed someone immediately. She'd already left for work, but she said there was a detailed note on the fridge and $300 on the table. When I got there, everything she said was true. The little girl was quiet, sweet. I fed her, helped her to the bathroom, read her stories from colorful books. For a few hours, everything felt fine, almost rewarding, like I was actually helping someone. I thought, maybe this is my purpose. Then I started noticing things. Shadows moving in empty hallways when no one was there, footsteps echoing behind me when I knew I was alone, whispers that sounded too close to real. It was all this classic horror movie nonsense that made my skin crawl and my heart race. Long story short, she wasn't disabled. She was pretending for fun. People are weird. Yeah, I decided my purpose could wait. If you've ever felt like your life is too ordinary, too quiet, like you were just waiting for something big to finally make you feel alive, drop a comment below and share your story with us. You're not alone in that feeling. So maybe my purpose wasn't a job. Maybe it was love. I watched my classmates pair off cute relationships. Inside jokes, hand-holding in hallways, stolen glances across classrooms. Everyone except me. My best friend Leia, though she genuinely loved boys. God created Adam and noticed he was bored, she'd say dramatically, flipping her hair. Imagine being in heaven and still feeling bored, so Eve was made to entertain him. Can't you see it? We girls are men's heaven. All you have to do is smile and entertain them. I frowned, but I'm a frowny, boring little creature. Exactly. Smile so you attract good energy. And by that, I mean boys. The problem was, I didn't know how. Whenever I saw a boy I liked, I'd instinctively frown, look down, and walk away as fast as I could, heart pounding, cheeks burning. I once decided to try with the new guy in school. He wore sunglasses indoors. I figured he either thought he was famous or had an eye infection. Either way, I forced my biggest, brightest smile, trying to channel everything Leia had taught me. He just stared at me. Are you sneezing or threatening me with your face? I froze. The people around us started laughing and eventually, so did I, even though it stung. That was Rafe. He went from being the new student to the most popular guy in school almost overnight. He had this annoying way of teasing you that somehow still made you laugh, still made you feel noticed. And from that moment on, he kept showing up in my life. Unfortunately, so did the nickname he gave me, Snarly. Every girl wanted to be his girlfriend, especially Leia. She tried everything: flirty comments, perfect outfits, lingering near his locker. But Rafe always said he was waiting for someone special. What does that even mean? Leia complained one day at lunch. He's a teenager. Just date the prettiest girl in school, which is me. Then, one day, everything changed. Rafe was passing by my locker, and he stopped. "Hey, Snarly," he said, leaning against the lockers next to mine. I just grunted, trying to get my books. "You know," he said, his voice softer than usual, "I think your frown is kinda cute. It's different." I looked up, completely surprised. He was smiling, but it wasn't his usual teasing smile. It was genuine, and in that moment, I felt something shift inside me. Maybe someone could see me after all. That little conversation started everything. Suddenly, Rafe was everywhere. He'd walk me to class, sit with me at lunch even, though Leia was giving me the silent treatment hand, he'd text me late into the night. He told me he liked that I was quiet. He said I was mysterious, that I wasn't like the other girls who were always trying so hard. He made me feel like being myself, my quiet, frowny self, was actually a good thing. A few weeks later, he officially asked me to be his girlfriend. It was like something out of a movie. We were at the park, and he pulled out a single, perfect wildflower. He said, "Odette, you're the special one I've been waiting for." I felt like I was floating. The invisible girl was finally chosen. The first few months were a dream. He was attentive, sweet, and he made me feel like the most important person in the world. He'd say things like, "You're so much smarter than everyone else, Odette. You don't need anyone but me." At first, it sounded romantic. But then, the dream started to feel different. It started with small things. He didn't like my best friend Leia. "She's too loud, too desperate for attention." He'd say, "She's not a good influence on you." I started avoiding her, telling myself it was because I wanted to spend more time with Rafe than it was my clothes. "That sweater makes you look plain," he said one day. It was the final basketball game of the year, and the gym was electric. The cheers were so loud you could feel them in your chest. Some of the girls were literally crying from the tension. My friend Leia leaned over and whispered something completely insane in my ear. "If they lose, I'll spit on their faces except Rafe. He can spit on mine if it helps him release his frustration." But I just stared at her. "Do you have even a single shred of self-respect?" Suddenly, everyone around us was glaring at me. Apparently, I was the one killing the vibe. And then it happened. The final seconds ticked down, and Rafe scored the winning shot. The entire crowd just exploded. They were chanting his name, lifting him onto their shoulders like he was some kind of national hero. But then he did something unexpected. He asked them to put him down. His face turned serious, and he scanned the crowd until his eyes landed right on me. The gym went completely silent. He started walking toward me, each step slow and deliberate. He stopped right in front of me, and the whole world just seemed to fade away. "Would you go out with me, Odette?" he asked. You could hear gasps ripple through the crowd, but they weren't the cute, supportive kind. It was pure shock. Some girls laughed nervously. A guy standing nearby grabbed Leia's hand dramatically and said, "Will you be my girlfriend?" Rafe shoved him hard. The laughter died instantly. He turned back to me, his voice calm again. "So, just say yes for now. Let's see where this goes." My heart was pounding so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. I took a breath. "Yeah, I'll go out with you, Rafe." His face broke into the biggest grin I'd ever seen. He scooped me up onto his shoulder like I was a trophy and carried me right out of the gym. Everyone just stood there, whispering, filming on their phones, trying to figure out what they had just witnessed. And from that day on, my life completely changed. For a while, everything was perfect. Rafe and I became that asterisk couple walking down the halls hand in hand, skipping class to share snacks behind the gym, stealing kisses in empty stairwells. My parents, however, were against it from the very beginning. One night at dinner, I finally confronted them. "I don't get it," I said. "He's handsome, he's funny, he's a star on the team." My mom just frowned. There's just something off about him, like the way he sat in our living room with his feet on the coffee table. My dad nodded in agreement. Little things say a lot about a person. I couldn't believe it. "Come on. Last time I checked, you're an accountant with a boring life, no siblings, dead parents, 0 friends. Since when are you 2 psychologists?" My mum sighed. "It's his vibe, his aura." I laughed, but it was bitter. "So that's it. It's because he chose me, isn't it? It's not about his aura or his feet on the table." They just exchanged worried looks, and I stormed off to my room. Leia, on the other hand, was thrilled for me, at least at first. Most besties would be so jealous if their average friend got the hottest guy in school, especially when that bestie is as pretty as me. But honestly, I'm proud of you. She was spraying some pink stuff on her feet while getting ready for another date. "This rich older guy I'm seeing, love doesn't care about age. You know," I raised an eyebrow. "You're telling him nice to feed you," she laughed. "You're actually stupid sometimes. I love it." "Anyway, how's everything with Rafe?" I hesitated. "Fine, I guess. But there's this nagging feeling that something's off." She waved her hand dismissively. "That's called insecurity. Just live in the moment. Stop overthinking everything." Maybe she was right. Rafe was sweet and generous, but there was one thing that bothered me. He never invited me to his house. I kept asking, gently at first, but then I started nagging. Finally, he gave in. The house looked old and worn down from the outside. The front porch creaked under our feet as we walked up. Just as Rafe opened the door, a glass flew past our heads and shattered on the street outside. He yanked me back protectively. Inside, his parents were screaming at each other. "Where did you put the money, you useless witch?" his dad yelled. "I bought food with it." His mum screamed back. "What? You want me to leave it so you can waste it on more cigarettes, you junkie?" Rafe let out a heavy sigh. "Welcome to my house." The place was a disaster. It was dark and musty, with dishes piled high in the sink and clothes tossed over the furniture like no one had cared in years. His mum looked pale and exhausted, her eyes tired from a lifetime of fighting. His dad looked like he hadn't showered in weeks, his face twisted in anger. "Mum." "Dad, this is Odette, my girlfriend." His dad sneered. "Oh, so now it's Mum and Dad." His mum grabbed a rolled-up newspaper and smacked him across the head with it. "Don't talk about her like that." Rafe just took my hand without a word and led me back outside. Once we were clear of the house, I said quietly, "I guess I'll never complain about my boring life again." He looked down. "Now you know why I never wanted you to come here." "I'm sorry you had to see that." I shook my head. Don't be. I'm your girlfriend. I'll accept you no matter what. He gave me a faint smile. Cool. I like acceptance. Then his voice got softer, almost vulnerable. Odette, I love you. My heart stopped. I grinned. What took you so long? He laughed and pulled me into a hug. You're amazing. When I make it big in basketball, I'm going to give you the best life. He leaned in to kiss me, and my stomach flipped with butterflies. But just then, my phone rang. It was my mum. Don't answer, he whispered. Let me kiss you. Let me take you to your favorite diner. After that day, Rafe and I got even closer, which meant I had to start lying more to my parents. My grades started to slip. I kept telling myself I'd catch up later, that I just needed this time with him. We developed a routine. We'd meet behind the gas station after school, share a soda on the curb, and talk for hours about how fake everyone else was, how shallow popularity felt. You're the only real person I know, he'd say, his fingers tracing the back of my hand. Then he started asking for little favors. Borrowing my phone when his died, asking me to cover for him when he missed practice or skipped a class, needing me to lie to his mum about where he was. I did it all without a second thought. That's what you do when someone loves you, right? You help them, you support them, you make their life easier. Sometimes, though, he would disappear for a day or two. No texts, no calls, nothing. When he'd come back, he would act like nothing happened, and so would I, swallowing the worry that had been eating me up inside. I stopped hanging out with Leia as much. One day, she cornered me at my locker. You've been ditching me like you in a full-time relationship with a ghost, she said. I got defensive. He's going through a lot of stuff right now. She rolled her eyes. And you're his emotional support animal. I shot back. You're the one who told me to live in the moment. Thanks for watching. If you want to know what happens next in my story with Rafe, make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on for part 2. Do you know what it's like to feel completely lost? To chase a feeling you think is freedom, only to realize you are running from yourself the whole time. This is the story of how I hit rock bottom and found my way back. It started with a fight. My best friend Leia and I were inseparable. But then Rafe came into my life, and everything changed. Leia saw the red flags before I did. She told me the moment I met him, I knew something was off. Your parents are calling me constantly, asking where you are. But I have to lie and say you're at the library. I hate lying to them. But I was defensive. Then don't lie, I shot back. If covering for me is such a burden, maybe you weren't a good friend to begin with. The hurt in her eyes was instant. She said softly, "Since when do you talk to me like that?" "Oh, right. Since Rafe. Open your eyes, don't lose yourself for him. I got cruel," says the girl dating a guy 5 years older just because he's rich. Want to talk about self-respect? That shut her up. I stormed off, leaving our friendship in pieces. The consequences came fast. SATs rolled around. Leia scored high enough for nursing school. My scores were just acceptable. Not good enough for my dream program. And Rafe. He overslept and missed the test entirely. One night, I was complaining. I can't believe Leia scored higher than me. Rafe just shrugged. You should have studied more. We didn't need to watch movies every single night. The blame stung. So now it's my fault. What's done is done, he said, already moving on. I'll get you pancakes. That always cheers you up. His nonchalance was baffling. He was always spending money we didn't have. Where do you even get the money for all this? I asked, half joking. He immediately got defensive. You think I can't survive without your charity? You're judging me, belittling me. I take care of you. I spoil you. Isn't that enough? I backpedaled instantly. I'm sorry. You're right. That's how it always was. He'd twist things, and I'd end up apologizing. Then he proposed his grand escape plan. Make it up to me, he said, come on a road trip. My uncle lent me his RV. We'll travel, see every state, just us. But college, my parents, I stammered. What about them? He said. Take online courses, finance or something. That's a good career. And just like that, I was convinced. I called my parents and told them I needed time to think about my future. Their voices cracked over the phone as they begged me to stay, but my mind was made up. 2 weeks later, I was climbing into that RV, chasing what I thought was freedom. The first few weeks were a dream. We saw places I'd only ever seen on TV. The Nevada deserts under a blanket of endless stars, the Hollywood sign glowing against the night sky, coastal cities with overpriced ice cream, and that salty ocean air. I felt like I was living in a movie. Strangers would stare, sometimes whispering. I think they couldn't believe a guy who looked like Rafe would be with someone like me. I remember one time, a really pretty girl asked for his number right in front of me. He just smiled politely and said, "I've already got the best girl in the world." He didn't know I was watching, but my heart swelled. I felt so special, so chosen. I posted a picture of us on the RV steps, eating instant noodles as the sun went down. The caption was, "Love in the little things." It got so many likes, so many comments calling us goals. For a moment, it felt real. My parents called constantly at first, their voices filled with worry. Then the calls became less frequent. Eventually, I just stopped answering altogether. The dream started to crack one morning in Wyoming. I woke up and Rafe was gone. His phone went straight to voicemail. Hours passed. Evening came and still nothing. Panic was clawing its way up my throat. I stepped outside to get some air, and that's when I saw a police officer walking toward the RV. "Miss Odette?" she asked. Before I could even process what was happening, she was putting me in handcuffs. "You're under arrest. The RV is stolen. The owner reported it and said you were the one driving." I was terrified. My one phone call went to my parents. I was sobbing, barely able to get the words out. They didn't hesitate. They were already on a flight. And then, just as suddenly as he'd disappeared, Rafe showed up outside the police station. "Where were you?" I cried, hitting his chest. "Your uncle reported the RV stolen." He pulled me into a hug. "I talked to him. He's sorting it out." The jerk filed a report because I'm behind on payments, but nothing he said made sense. I can't do this anymore, I told him, my voice shaking. I'm going home. His face crumpled. No, please don't give up on me. You're all I have, he begged, with tears in his eyes. And in that moment, something inside me broke. I was pregnant. I was scared. I wasn't ready to be alone, so I stayed. I called my parents and told them not to come. We left before they could arrive. After that, the months blurred into a miserable haze. The fun was gone. The adventure was over. It was just bleak. My parents barely called anymore. I saw on social media that Leia had gotten into nursing school and was now engaged to that rich guy ID made fun of. It was a bitter pill to swallow. I used to be the one with the bright future. Then came the night that shattered everything. A group of dangerous-looking men showed up at our RV door. Tattoos, angry voices, threats. Rafe owed them money. A lot of money. $250,000. I felt the air leave my lungs. Without thinking, I blurted out, I'm pregnant. A strange light sparked in Rafe's eyes. He turned to the men and actually said, any baby discount. For days after, he was disgustingly sweet, almost humiliatingly so. I felt a twisted sort of pity for him. I knew he'd had a rough life, an abusive dad, a broken home. I tried to use that to excuse his behavior, but deep down I knew this was wrong. This wasn't love. This was a cage. In secret, I messaged Leia. We agreed to meet halfway between where I was and our hometown. When I saw her, she was cold. So you need money now that I'm engaged to someone rich. The word stung and I slapped her. She slapped me right back. We ended up fighting, shouting all the things we'd held back for months. She called me out on everything, forcing me to see the truth. I was hiding from being alone, from failing, from facing the fact that maybe, just maybe, I wasn't as unlovable as I'd let myself believe. That night I left while Rafe was sleeping. Leia picked me up from the side of the road, no questions asked. The drive home was silent. When we pulled up to my house, my mum opened the door. She saw my face, my swollen belly, and she just pulled me into the tightest hug I'd ever felt. My dad appeared behind her and draped my old childhood blanket over my shoulders. There was no anger, just relief. I enrolled in online classes. Nothing glamorous, but it was steady. A step forward. Then my son was born. It was a long, painful night, but the moment they placed him in my arms, so tiny, so red, so perfect, everything went quiet. I looked at his little face and made him a promise. I'm going to give you the life I never had, a love you won't ever have to earn. Later, I heard Rafe had been arrested for attempted robbery. He was trying to pay off his debts, and the only thing I felt was relief. I learned a hard lesson. You can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved.